Gotta hydrate. Don't know if you've ever been on a plant medicine dieta or done any plant medicine, but I'm going to share a little bit about my journey and why I'm here. And yeah, let's rewind back a little bit um, into like where I am. And a lot of people had a lot of questions around why I was in Vegas, so I'd like to just share that as well. And then also, yeah, share why I'm drinking tons of water and what I'm about to walk into, which is very exciting and a little bit nerve wracking. But it's why I came here. Vegas. I decided to fly through Vegas. Well, actually, it was presented to me. When you are moving with your spirit and in alignment with your spirit, you kind of tend to go with the flow. And it's all about learning how to align with what is in your highest alignment. So for me, I was just feeling the path of least resistance when I was booking my flights. And I don't know if you've ever looked up flights to Hawaii, but from Europe, mostly they're about 40 hours. And this is not a thing that I want to put my body through, being in the airports on planes for 40 hours nonstop. It was actually 42 hours. So I looked up multi-city options and also looked up like where I could stop over that might be of interest to me. And it was so funny. I found a direct flight. There was two direct flight options. One was from Ireland to Vegas and one was from Ireland to New York. But the one on New York was not on the date that I wanted because I wanted to maximize the amount of time that I could stay in Ireland. And I ended up finding the Las Vegas one, and it was also happened to be much cheaper than the New York one. So I was like, okay, this is the path of least resistance. The flight lands at 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve into Vegas, and I was like, okay, that sounds really not my vibe. But also looking at like the feeling of putting myself into the consciousness in Vegas and just swimming around and like feeling what's going on down there. For those of you who don't know me and who don't know what I do, I'm very much here in my soul blueprint working on birthing a new consciousness. So becoming more conscious, becoming more self-aware, and bringing that awareness of love and unity and oneness back to humanity, reconnecting souls back to their divine blueprint and why they came here. And in order to do that, I need to be a researcher in consciousness, and I need to really understand all aspects of humanity and get into what those consciousnesses are about. And yeah, understand it from an experience level versus a mind level, which I'm all about. I'm all about going for the experience because that's where we only truly learn something. So I was kind of feeling Vegas was like an opportunity to swim around there and see what's going on there. And you know what? I've been to many places, especially over the last few years, and I feel like Egypt had much darker energy than Vegas. I felt like Egypt was much more grimy and much more distorted in terms of like greed, which is super funny. It had a lot more poverty, obviously. Um, but yeah, the consciousness felt more dangerous in Egypt than it did in Vegas. I found that really fascinating. I was like, like, how is this possible? But you know what Vegas felt like? And I landed straight into the absolute chaos of New Year's Eve. And I could feel like I feel a lot in my body, so I could feel instantly my heart rate was skipping. It was like, and like feeling the electro impulses of the city because it's full of LED lights, and it is literally like an adult computer game. It feels like you're in The Sims, and everywhere you go, you're just assaulted with LED lights. I don't know if you know that LED lights are actually quite bad for you in terms of like what they do to your brain and to your system, and they take energy from you. They're not healthy. So I was immediately feeling like the unhealthiness of the environment and kind of also feeling no wonder people only go there for like a few days. It's just mass overstimulation. And I feel like it's a reflection of the world that we live in this overstimulated because people are so disconnected, they need to overstimulate everything because they can't feel anything anymore. And I'm saying that from a place now of like, when I was in Vegas, I was pretty much not eating because the food didn't suit my dieta. Like a dieta is when you do plant medicine and you cut your food way back. Like you can't have salt, sugar, dairy, loads of different meats, certain types of fruit even because they have a level of a chemical in them that gets dumped into your system when you take certain plant medicines. So it can be dangerous to eat certain things. So I was really restricted, and I still am. I'm just drinking water right now. And when you pare back and you de-stimulate your system, like you stop overloading it with food and stimulants, and like I don't drink alcohol. I haven't done for years. I barely have. I don't drink coffee anymore. Shock horror. This is like something I was so addicted to, but 2019 it completely dropped off the radar for me, and I haven't touched it since. I haven't even had a taste of it. Um, I don't even know who. I could have never imagined that, but yeah, that's my sad life right now. And I drink decaf tea, so the only caffeine that I would normally have would be matcha lattes. And yeah, I don't have any other stimulants. This is coming from a girl, ex-pro for professional fitness competitor who used to be sponsored by energy drink companies. Like, yeah, I just de-stimulated my whole system. And it makes you a lot more sensitive when you do that. And what happens when you overstimulate your system, your receptors are full the whole time. Your caffeine receptors are full, like your dopamine, you're always chasing a next dopamine hit. You're numbed through like too much sugar, too much food, too much everything. And you can't really taste anything anymore because everything is oversaturated. So what happens when you fast and you pare everything back is actually you desaturate and you get very sensitive. So me being in Vegas fasting was quite an experience to be like so stimulated by the environment and what was going on. But I enjoyed it. You know, I have to say I didn't gamble. I'm not into gambling. I don't unless I felt like I was really going to win and that would be intuitive. I was not interested. I did have a funny experience where I was walking past other people gambling and I was playing with like this, sending the energy of winning to them. And I did it with one person. It's the first time I tried it. I just had this intuitive hit to just do that and direct it over there. And I focused on their machine. They were doing the slot machines. And it started to win. It was like tallying up an amount that it was winning. And it said, big win, big win. It wasn't, I don't think it was a big win. It was like a few $100s. But I thought that was kind of kind of cool to be tapped into the stream. Um, yeah, it's kind of interesting when you can feel reality bending around you when you're sensitive. And when you're in an environment where there's a lot of chance and magic happening, I feel like magic happens a lot more. You know, there is a magic about an environment like that that is actually geared towards fun. And I could see that people were there really to have fun. Like, people were also there to try and feel something. There was a lot of people there numbing themselves through the gambling. You can see the consciousness where people are addicted, which is not feeling good. Um, but there was just a lot of people there like spontaneously. So there was an energy of spontaneity. And that's what I felt. My trip was spontaneous. I spent more time in the spa there than I did out on the strip, but that's just me and what I felt like I needed. And yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. And I had the reason why I went there, and this is what I wanted to share. Like, the main reason why I decided to book it was a few months before, a month actually before I was booking my flights. Like, my main idea is to go to Hawaii to do plant medicine, not to go to Vegas. But I was, as all of a sudden, finding myself in this month opening up and channeling Michael Jackson. Now, for those of you who don't know what channeling is, it's when you open yourself to the higher realms, and like a medium, you can speak, or you can have consciousness speak through you, and you can channel something down from that person, from that consciousness, from whatever realm you want to. And I didn't call him in, he came to me and he showed me. I recorded a transmission on this that I will share when I have it edited. I have a little story about that as well. He showed me, like, he walked me through what it felt like to be divinity in motion on stage, and to be the center stage, to be the spotlight in your own life, the center stage of your own life, which was really beautiful. And this is like Michael Jackson in the other realms. Without personality, he's just pure consciousness. And he's a very beautiful, beautiful being. And I could really feel what he went through here, like how he exploded into this world and really managed to like birth what he came here to do. And he's still here, and people are still celebrating him on such a big level. And that was very evident in Vegas. And this is why what sold Vegas on me instead of New York was actually, because New York to me felt more like an interesting or like more congruent, we'll say, less than Vegas. And when I feel it now, Vegas was actually more aligned based on what I experienced. But yeah, he had some shows. So there was some tribute shows, and there's a Cirque du Soleil show that was incredible. Now the tribute show really just showed me how there's only one original, Michael Jackson, and it was great. The guy did a great job, but it felt a little bit. He felt a little bit jaded, actually, like he'd done too many shows. I think he's doing it for 20 years. But the Cirque du Soleil was like a real, like they really captured Michael's consciousness, and they really captured his essence of what he was about, and they put it into a spectacular show. So if you ever get a chance to see that, I would go back to Vegas just to see that show again. Like, no joke, it was incredible. So if you ever do get a chance to go to Vegas, go to that show. Honestly, you will not regret it. It's amazing. They had drones flying over the audience, and the special effects and the performers were just out of this world, like really out of this world. Like Michael Jackson, I felt like they all really loved him, and they gave him a really good tribute. Now, in choosing this, I had a nice little synchronicity. I chose like the area that I was sitting in when I was choosing the seats based on intuition. I have no idea what's the best seat. I don't know the arena. And I just picked somewhere kind of center stage. And I picked a seat that, you know, that I felt like I was in this, like choosing it and feeling the area. And then I picked a seat in the middle of two other seats because my brain was like, oh, you know, if you're going to pick this area, these seats, you know, you'll have single people or people by themselves sitting here. And yeah, this is just the way I think sometimes, that I would get to sit beside either two cool, interesting people, maybe two nerds, or that I will sit by myself and enjoy space around me. And what happened was I ended up sitting next to a really cool guy. He's like some movie Hollywood guy, works on a load of big movies and works on sound now. And I'm editing my Michael Jackson transmission right now and really feeling into like what to do with the sound, because, you know, with copyrights and everything, you can't use his actual music. So I was really feeling like, how do I capture his essence, which is part of why I was also at this show. I wanted to feel what his essence was so that I could capture it. And this guy he actually took me around Las Vegas afterwards and showed me all the best points, because he's been there many times, so he knows the best places to view things from. He also doesn't drink or gamble, which was kind of cool synchronicity. And he said that he would love to help me with the music for the transmission. So let's see if that happens. I would like to get the transmission out soon, but yeah, we'll see. I am also about to go deep into plant medicine, so let's see what wants to happen with it. And I felt like this little wink from Michael, like he put us together. He made us meet. Like this felt like a little like, oh, this is why I'm here. And he invited me to an expo that's around channeling and psychedelics, which is totally my street, in LA in February. So I may go to that. It depends on what happens after Hawaii. It depends on how I feel, but I feel like interested. I feel kind of a desire to do that. That feels cool to me. So that was like a nice little thing that happened. And this is kind of what happens when you're in your flow. You just meet random people. And I feel like Vegas is a good place for that, particularly because there's a lot of people that are probably there in a spontaneous way. So yeah, that's why I was in Vegas. And then I left on a complete high. I had such a good time with him. Yeah, he just was a super sweet guy. Like he feels like he's older and he's done a lot and he's experienced a lot, and he's kind of in his next evolution, which is kind of, he was interested in consciousness. And coming from the Hollywood industry, he was telling me like a lot of people there are starting to wake up and it's starting to become more of a thing. So that was important information for me, because sometimes it can feel like you're in an upward hill with this like birthing consciousness, because it can feel slow when you go somewhere and you realize the consciousness is really low and you're holding a vision for this like beautiful world to live in, and it's really not the reality a lot of the time. So it's nice when I have these little windows where I'm able to see that it is happening on a certain level. So yeah, I left in a complete high. I didn't sleep very much that night, and I had to get up really early for my flight and landed into Hawaii. And then I started to feel like my path with the medicine, you know, even though I was already pretty much by default doing a fast, which is important to be clean for the medicine. I was landing into it and then starting to feel my themes and topics. Immediately, like feeling, when you do a journey with plant medicine, you really start to, when you're present and you're aware and you're used to journeying, you start to notice like what's arising in the fields that are the topics that you're going to possibly move through on the journey, or the ones that are relevant for you to move through. And I can feel this like safety topic. Everything that I've been through in the last year has been a result of feeling unsafe in my body. And I've never had this as a topic. I feel like when I was in bodybuilding, I had a super like warrior energy. And as I got more into my feminine and more out of that warrior energy, I started to feel a lot more fragile and a lot more vulnerable. And that's just natural when you open, and you can't open your channel without going into that vulnerable state, or that open state, we'll say. And I'm just going through now, like bringing back some of that warrior energy. I really feel like I need to welcome a little bit more of that back in. And of course, I land into, like, where I'm journeying in Hawaii is kind of near the volcanoes, but I landed into a city called Hilo. It's actually a town. And it feels like not a place that I would like to spend too much time. There's a lot of homeless people here. I was speaking to a taxi driver yesterday, and he said that they were shipped over here during COVID. They're not even locals. It feels really bad the way they're treated, and also the way they're just laying everywhere, like around these parks and beaches, and they're all on drugs, and it doesn't feel safe. And I wouldn't have felt unsafe with it, but I actually, when you have a vibration of unsafety in your system, you're going to attract experiences to show it to you. And I attracted this woman. I was wearing this like angel wing like shawl that I have, and this kind of drugged up homeless lady decided to follow me across the street and threatened to cut my wings off. And then she was saying that I stole her vape. I was like, I most definitely didn't steal your vape, and I'm most definitely not smoking what you're smoking. And it was just, I had this like sudden like sense of like a spike of adrenaline, that tingles that you get on your face, and a sudden like need to make a movement. And I was walking towards what I thought was a beach, but it was actually a fence. I couldn't access the beach the way I was walking, so I had to turn around and face her. And it's funny, when I did, I just faced her openly. I didn't face her with any kind of like defense mechanism or anything. And she was like, you better not steal my blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what she was saying. And I just said, I didn't steal anything from you. Just stared directly into her consciousness. And she just turned around and walked away. And yeah, there's a feeling of like getting more into my base and having like that killer instinct like inserted back into me. And when I'm feeling my journey here, like I'm going to be journeying really near the volcanoes, it's like this volcanic like life bursting through. And when there's in consciousness, if you don't feel safe, there's going to be a level of not trusting in life, and there's also going to be a level of lack of aliveness, or you can't feel fully alive if you don't feel safe. So when you have safety, you can come to life. And it's like when I imagine the volcano, it has its solid sides and solid edges, and it has this life bursting through it. So it's very grounded, very anchored, and then the life comes up the middle. And this is like the Kundalini also coming up the middle of the body, which is your life force energy. If you are not familiar with Kundalini, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a different video. And yeah, starting to feel like this is my theme. It comes in many like relationships in my life as well, that I see like friendships and partnerships and just different things where this safety topic has been tested and trialed, and I've been put through a lot in terms of how it's been shown to me. I put my body through a lot in terms of how it's been shown to me, which is why I got a serious disease last year. And yeah, I will share a lot more on that. I have a lot of videos already recorded about like how that manifested. And yeah, coming here now is a feeling of I want to heal, like really heal my soul, my spirit, my heart, my body from like what I've been through over the last year. So I'm going in with that intention of like clearing, healing, and surrendering fully to my higher self. And the first thing that I'm doing is Bufo, which is like to blast you into divinity. And I'm like, I just feel like that will feel like my home. I don't know. I it's not. I've done DMT before, but not Bufo specifically. And it basically opens up your connection on a without any ego. There's a huge ego death, so there's no personality, and it gives you that like oneness with the divine. From my feeling of it so far, having not done it and having like dialed into it in other people, because I've coached people that have done it. I've worked with many people that shared with me how it feels, and I have lots of friends that have journeyed, of course. And I've been waiting. I have been deep in like my process and initiation with the mushrooms, magic mushrooms, over the last kind of 5 or 6 years, and I felt like I was devoting myself fully to them in that time, into that, like to myself merging with that consciousness. And now I feel like I've had a call for ayahuasca for a long time, but I just haven't had the right aligned like person to sit with, and set and setting and timing. And I feel like people sometimes go from a mind level to do plant medicine, and I just never feel that this is a smart thing to do. Especially with bigger medicines, because you get slapped really badly if you do one of these medicines out of alignment, or you might have a confusing or destabilizing experience. And they're very sacred plants. It's not something that I would promote consuming frivolously. You know, it's like really when you feel the call, it's time. And if you don't feel the call, don't go near it. And I've had the call for a long time, but waiting for the right set and setting is also important, you know. So for me, I've done other medicines like iboga, which is really intense, and I did that in a small group setting. And after that experience, I didn't want to sit in a group again. I just felt like I wanted to, you know, especially after journeying with the mushrooms so intently after that as well. I always journey by myself in stillness and in silence, and this is how you develop the most intimate connection with the medicine. You know, Tesla is always telling me, Nikola Tesla, he's one of my guides, in stillness and in silence you will hear God. He's always telling me that silence is golden. And a lot of these groups are not about silence. There's a lot of noise happening, there's a lot of music, and the music has its own medicine because it helps to move the group energy. But if that's not the experience, if you're going for your own like deep listening experience with spirit, I feel like the less interference you can have, the better, because you can hear the frequencies in the field and you can feel what's being birthed through you. And I really wanted to find a person that could sit with me and hold that space for me, because ayahuasca is a big medicine. It's not something I want to sit with by myself, the first time I do it especially. And I've been waiting, you know, I've been watching loads of other people do it, and I've just been like, it's not time yet, and not allowing my ego to take over to do it because I want to know what it feels like. It's like, no, it needs to be the right time for me. And I'm feeling just about ready for it. Like I feel like, okay, now is the time I'm going to meet her, going to meet the grandmother, and she's going to sit me down and have a chat with me. And it's grandmother medicine. So yeah, I'm starting today with Bufo. I'll be going offline probably for most of the time. I'm not sure. I'll try and record if it feels in flow, but I won't put any pressure on myself, because it's more important that I'm inward and with my experience. And actually, when you share something, when you put it into words and you put it out from the inside prematurely, it kind of loses some potency. So it's kind of important when you do have a medicine experience that you don't immediately try and spill it out, that you allow it to marinate inside of you for longer. And it can mean that you don't share it, you know, you don't share the essence of it with other people in that time, and that it might be different when you share it from a different space like a month later or so, but it means that you get the most from it. So I'll really feel into if it feels accurate for me to share that or not. I feel like I'll want to share some of it, but the timing is important. So you might not get that for a month, but let's see. I'll share some things around, but maybe not the journey and what I experience. It's funny, anytime I do this, I always end up doing the opposite. So yeah, I surrender. I do not know. I do not know. So yeah, I'm doing Bufo today. It's very early here. It's sunrise. And I'm going to do it in the afternoon. I've been fasting, drinking my water, cleaning my body, having massages, getting getting into the energy of the land and just, yeah, preparing myself, meditating, just being with my intention. And my intention for Bufo feels like a merging with my higher self, like a sacred union with myself, this surrender to my divine will, this marrying myself. And then I'm going to do Wachuma in 2 days' time. So there's a day in between where we'll be doing ceremonies, rituals, cleansing, cord cutting, cleaning, clearing energy, bathing rituals, very feminine. I feel like this is a big rebirth of my feminine as well. My body needs a lot of care and attention right now, so I'm giving it that. And then, yeah, Wachuma, San Pedro, it's a different medicine. We'll be going into nature for that, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not sure about I'm not sure I don't know what to expect with any of these medicines because I'm not researching them. I know other people that have done them. They have their own experience. Everyone has their own unique experience. And San Pedro is more of a masculine energy. So I'm getting a mixture. Divinity, masculinity, femininity. So Bufo, San Pedro, and then ayahuasca. And ayahuasca is going to be on 11/1, 111, which feels right. And that's going to be a deep healing around my feminine, I feel. So we'll see. So today I am going to be leaving this city kind of area and going into the jungle and next to the volcanoes, like I was saying. And I'm kind of excited to get out of the city energy. It's not my vibe anymore. I just really rather be somewhere more in nature. Not like necessarily isolated. Like I still like to have people around, but more natural. So it's really getting sunny now. Hope you can still see me. And yeah, I want to share a little bit about like how I found this teacher. And I was actually I really wanted to go to Hawaii this time last year. I ended up in Bali for many different reasons instead. And the thing that she was hosting, this teacher, Ama Sophia is her name, she was hosting something in January last year, but it got cancelled because there wasn't enough people for it. So yeah, that plan kind of went out the window. But how this came to me, this trip or this idea that I was supposed to be here, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a Temazcal experience in Czech Republic, where the Temazcal is like a sweat lodge, a Mexican thing, ceremony where you, as a community, build an outdoor sauna from different materials, and then you build the fire, you put real stones into the fire, you do a big ritual and ceremony around intention, and then you wheel the stones into the middle of the pit in the sauna, and you stay in there for hours and hours and hours. And basically, I have these transcending experiences while I'm doing Temazcal without any medicine, because your body goes through so much heat. It's a lot like for your physical to deal with. So you're kind of pushed into a higher state sometimes. This is my experience with them. And I always have visions and big activations, and I love Temazcals. They're really beautiful medicine. And I had an experience where I saw, like towards the end of the Temazcal ceremony this time, I saw a vision of like me in Tahiti, and that Spirit told me that I would meet a female medicine woman. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder when that's going to happen. And I've had it on my radar since. And it's funny because I thought in that time that Tahiti was Hawaii, but it's not. Tahiti is a French Polynesian island, similar vibe. It's near Bora Bora. And actually, it's part of Europe, so you can live there if you have a European passport without a visa. And I'm saying this because I was like, oh, I could live there. I was looking at it when I discovered that. But I found this Hawaiian teacher in the meantime. And I thought that this was about the vision. This is the teacher, this is the place, la la la. And what I actually discovered was she also does these whale journeys that are in Moria, which is next to Tahiti, which is the French Polynesian area. And that they stay on Tahiti when they do that. So then I was feeling like, oh, I really need to do that journey. And I had booked to do that in August, but I had to have surgery in August, so it didn't happen. So yeah, long story short, I've been waiting to journey with her for a few years now. I'm always waiting for the right alignment with timing, and now feels like the right time. And it came from a vision that I had about 4 or 5 years ago in a Temescal ceremony. So, when I say like I'm following the flow and intuitively moving with my soul, that's the kind of thing that I mean, or this is kind of what I'm dialing into. I'm dialing into like what comes to me and through me versus like what comes to me through other people, if that makes sense. Like, I've done plant medicine before. Like when I did iboga, for example, the medicine came to me through other people. So there was people in my field, the consciousness of the medicine was operating through them and spreading itself through them. And it came to me from an external place. And I know now the difference between an inner calling and an outer calling. And I feel like this is important because if loads of your friends are doing it and it suddenly shows up in your field, and it actually, iboga came to my doorstep. The person that was hosting space actually arrived at my doorstep in Czech Republic. So I was really like, oh, this must be a sign that I'm supposed to do it. And it wasn't. There wasn't this deep inner calling for me to do that. And, no regrets. I had a really intense experience with it, but it wasn't a thing that I needed to go through in that time. Even though I gained something from it, it was just unnecessary. And from that time, I really felt the difference between that inner calling and an outer calling. So something that comes through you from spirit and a deep feeling and desire inside to do something is very different than something that comes to you from an external signal. And I feel like it's important to share that because it's a slight difference where you might get confused around like what a sign is, the sign that you should do it. It's more the signs appear after you've chosen a path. That's my experience of it. And, as I've been landing in here and traveling, and, when you travel, you're in a very, like I'm in a very big space of the unknown right now. I'm very much allowed to flow because I don't have much plans besides my little fixed points of like doing these ceremonies and everything. And I'm also in a very big unknown space in my life as well. And when you let go of holding on to certain things, you kind of really open to your magnetism of the flow. And that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a lot of flow. And landing in, seeing my numbers everywhere, having funny little synchronicities. Just feels alive. The field feels alive. So yeah, I'm going into the jungle soon. So I'll be offline. But yeah, I will try and reappear when I can. And I will try record what I can. I don't promise anything. But I will definitely see you here afterwards. And yeah, please bear with me while I get used to video blogging. It's something that I'm not, haven't been doing for quite a long time. So yeah, I'm getting back into it. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, pop them down here and I'll answer them in the next video. I have some questions that were asked on social media about my journey last year, and I'm going to be answering those in one of the upcoming videos when it feels the time to do it. I feel like staying with this medicine process right now, and yeah, really getting into this experience. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Sending you all lots of love and blessings, and pray for me, please. Send me a little wish in your dreams. And when you're thinking of me, I really appreciate any support because I feel like I need it going through this portal. It's going to be a big transformation. We're in the year of the snake. I had so many experiences with the snake energy last year through my transformation when I was having surgery and everything, and psychic dreams that I was having that led me to like go get my body checked. I will share. I will probably do a whole video on that actually, because it's interesting to see like when you're connected to soul, like how spirit speaks to you and how it helps you and supports you. Yeah, it's really interesting. So yeah, if you have any questions, pop them down in the comments, and sending you blessings, and we'll see you at the other side.